Hey, folks, for episode 76 of the Rental Roundtable, we had on a 76ers fan, Dan Crowley from Philadelphia. Second time guest. He came on episode 16, 60 episodes ago. Shorter episode, really two parts we talked about. First is the partnership we're announcing with peer executive groups and Quipli. Quipli is the exclusive software partner of the peer executive groups. Really with thought leadership and really bringing the hundreds of Quipli customers and the hundreds of Pure Group members together to really think about the future of rental technology. And AI is a big part of that. There's a lot more we're going to be talking about in the next 6 to 12 months on that. And we're going to use the Pure Group to build that together. So that was the first part, talking about that and why we're excited. Secondly, Peer Group has quarterly themes. So Q1 is valuation and financial, quarter two is sales and marketing, quarter three is process and operations, and quarter four is people and strategy. We're in quarter four. We talked about people and strategy and what he's hearing from the dozens of rental groups he meets with on a regular basis. And the theme for 2026, he's saying, is prepare for growth. So a lot of exciting times ahead. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. All right, everyone, welcome to the Rental Roundtable, episode number 76. We have on my friend Dan Crowley, repeat guest. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Kyle. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so you were episode 16 when we were getting our feet under
Wow.
us, and 60 episodes later, you're back. You're one of the few people who've come back. And, I think a Philadelphia guy, perfect, 76ers, we teed this up perfectly for you there. So
That's right.
I
There
know
you
you're a
go.
big
Perfect.
Eagles and Sixers fan. For today's episode, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about the peer group and the different quarterly theme right now, which is people and strategy. We'll talk about it in the second part. First part, we're going to talk about this exciting partnership that we're announcing right now with Quipli and peer executive group. So just for people who haven't listened to your episode, have never heard of the peer executive group, first, Dan, tell us what that's all about.
Sure. So, peer executive groups started 24 years ago in the rental industry with a group of rental operators who are ARA members who decided that they wanted to meet together regularly. So, I was right there. I actually came from the automotive industry, was coaching one of the rental operators at the time, and said, "Hey, I know what you're looking for. It's a peer group." And there were business advisory groups in the rental association way back and continues to be there. But we wanted to formalize it a little bit. And so over the years now, we've reached 25 peer groups. And we try to keep it about 8 to 12 members per group. And we're just the engine behind it. So we just focus on the administration of setting up the in-person meetings, help them with the technology when it comes to communication with each other. They have like a SharePoint website to share documentation. They have texting happening in WhatsApp. They have group emails in Microsoft. So, that's our job. Our job's to give them a voice and kind of help them communicate with each other and learn the next step for their business to grow.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of the peer group. Dan, I've known you since we started Quiply. So it's been 5 years,
Mm,
and we've seen many Quiply users join the peer group. It's been huge, right? For better business performance, but also it's a lonely journey starting or
yeah.
running a business at the top, right? And I think having the community aspect super important as you build. You'll see the financial return, of course, but man, let's have more fun. Like it's not you
Yeah.
don't need to carry the world on your shoulders.
Well, and that's exactly right. It's, everybody's buried. You're getting pulled by your vendors and your customers and your employees. And, it just is tiring and can wear
Yeah.
you out. And especially if it continues to grow, which means you're successful. So it's not just those who get stuck and need help from that perspective, but it's kind of like, whoa, the burden is getting bigger. So why not connect with other people who are going through the same thing you're going through? So, that's really a good, understanding of why the peer groups exist and what they're trying to do. Ironically, as it goes forward, we're seeing it fragment more and more. So
Mm,
we now have equipment dealers who have rental operations and they have their own groups. We are looking at specialty rental. We certainly take the event rental side and we break it down between tabletop and tent activity. So it's been just a really nice growth for our company to provide even more value by having key people in your group that match up well with how you're structured.
for sure. And I was been preaching about the peer group for many episodes, and I was like, man, I'm not in a peer group. So I've told you, Dan, I joined one for software CEOs last fall. It's been amazing. I guess it's always been a full year. We just had our annual retreat in
That's
Arizona, and
awesome.
more fun than ever.
Yeah.
Business is doing better than ever, and it's the peer group. Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? There's people who've
Yeah.
done it before, and you can learn from people.
Yeah, and it's really being committed to a structure.
Yeah,
Some people get nervous about the heavy lifting. Oh, you're going to send me home and I've got to implement a business plan. Well, we want you to take what you can take from it. So, in
yeah,
some cases people are implementing one or two action items every 6 months. So it's not a significant, but it's having that knowledge in your head, being able to have access to these people to give you feedback. That's really what it's all about. But, and then we have the aggressive ones who are implementing,
yeah.
and going crazy and taking everything they could take. And frankly, that's, good segue. That's kind of why we wanted to partner with you, Kyle. And, just from my perspective and why the partnership with Quipli is so important is we have to provide thought leadership to the members, and we know our limitations. We know where we're good. We know where we're strong. And at the end of the day, if you go on our website at peerexecutivegroups.com, you'll see a whole bunch of consultants. You'll see a whole bunch of affiliates. And even with those options available to our members and even to prospects, we still need to have kind of a core thought leadership team. And so that was our thought. We'd start with you, Kyle. We think you're the best. We want you to be part of our network going forward and being accessible to our members.
Yes, well, we're honored to be part of that, and this is well, there's a press release coming out soon, but Quiply it will be the exclusive rental software partner of the peer executive groups. Because on our side, we also hear from our hundreds of customers, how do I run my business more effectively? And we
Hmm.
know what we're good at, and we're not good at. We're not good at running a rental company. That's not what I've done, but we can tell you about
Yep.
technology. So we refer a lot of people over to the peer group, and I think what you've heard also is some of some of the technology issues, right? It's not
Yep.
really where the industry where the customers need it to be, and we're both backgrounds from the automotive industry. That's usually 10 to 15 years ahead. We've seen that in
Hmm.
automotive. So I think for a while you've heard people aren't fully satisfied 10 out of 10. Actually, let me ask you a question. How many of your several hundred customers, what percentage would you say they're a 10 out of 10 on the rental software? Probably
In
not,
terms of
not
satisfaction,
yeah, probably not very high.
oh my gosh, I don't even know. Not even. Oh, maybe I don't know, 3% maybe,
Okay,
because it is
3%.
the issue, or I should say the what peer groups is about is to uncover what keeps you up at night.
Hmm,
Like that's what we care about. What keeps you up at night? And if we do not hear technology keeping them up at night, we know something's wrong because that's part of it is the dilemma, the challenge, the integrations,
yeah,
what's going on with everything from credit card, connections into systems, into reporting, and being able to even look at there's a lot of great price point systems out there, but then you're like, well, I want to know what my utilization looks like here, or I want to know this, or I want to know that. And so our job is to kind of do the best we can. We have members using every management software product you could think of. So from that perspective, it's just really disjointed. And so
yeah,
we're kind of like at this point, there's been some really cool things happen in the rental industry with related to information technology. I think
yeah,
ARA's initiatives the last couple of years have been amazing. I think there's some good articles that are being written in rental management, and it's really helping people to kind of see what they have and what they're missing. and
yeah.
and that's really what it comes down to, is like which horse do I want to ride, which one do I want to be interacting with. And so we hope that a rental operation would say, hey, I'm going to join peer groups, because at the end of the day, it's a link and it's getting me the best of the best in terms of data and communication and future think. And that's really, kind of matches up. If you look at our values for our company and Quipley's values, you can kind of see that they
Yeah.
gel. So we're looking out for the industry from perspective of we want to, help to pull and push everybody up the hill, right, together, so that everybody gets better success in the future.
For sure, and there's thousands of rental companies in the U.S., right? But the top groups who are really innovative, wanting to push the needle, want to build a market leading rental company, they're generally in the peer group, right?
Mhm.
You don't get lazy, mediocre businesses. They're the top groups who join.
Yep,
And the top groups
absolutely.
are asking themselves, where is the future of rental going, particularly from a technology perspective? And what I'm excited about for your members, by the way, this is not something we've spoken about very publicly, and we're going to be talking about with your groups this fall, is there's a massive shift happening. I think technology change has been sort of sustaining innovation, linear growth for a while, and you add on e-commerce and mobile
Mhm.
and cloud and new features and texting customers. But I think what we're seeing is we're in the middle of a disruptive innovation, and that's AI. And I think
Mhm.
it's simultaneously overhyped and
Yeah,
also the biggest shift in our lifetime. And you
yeah.
got to carve through the noise. And one of the things that we'll talk about with the groups is there's all AI is not created equal, right? So it's
Yeah.
like me saying I ran a 5K on Thanksgiving for a turkey trot, and I'm an athlete, and Patrick Mahomes is also an athlete, so we're both
Yeah.
athletes. And it's like, well, there's nuance there, right? And I think what we're seeing is split really between two different things. Is we're going to have these chat GPT wrappers where you can query your
Mhm.
data and it's human interacting with the software, which is cool, right? That's interesting. I think the other flavor is going to be the system of record turning into the system of action, where your
Ah,
software starts to do work for you that you don't want to do, you don't have time to do. We're not replacing people. It's doing jobs that rental companies never had time to do. And instead of you prompting the software will be prompting you. And that's happening. That's live right now. That's happening. You're going to see a big, probably push for this next year. And I think what you're going to see is a big split between the legacy software companies and the people who have adopted the system of action, AI doing
mhm.
work in your business. And that's what I get to is like, it's overhyped and AI is everywhere and you don't really know what it means. At the same time, we're seeing a technology change where it's not a new widget, it's or a feature, it's doing labor, right? And I
Yeah,
think that is something that is pretty revolutionary, and we all need to get our arms around it, right? So that's why
yeah.
I'm happy to be talking with your group so we can all figure this out together because that is where the market's moving.
So you're exactly right. And I'm the 50-year-old, 58-year-old in the room, right? So I'm scared of everything that's
Yeah.
going on right now. But I will tell you this, it's fascinating to see on a couple notes. One, we addressed AI as a topic in a peer group a couple years ago. And now here we are 2 years later, and it's become a standard item on the agenda, which means that, okay, it's 2 o'clock, guys. It's time to talk about what AI initiatives are going on in and around your business. And we do this thing called the idea contest or the idea factory, where we at this usually a second day of the meetings we have a challenge. Everybody has an idea that they've come up with, problem they've solved, and you put $20 in the kitty, and whatever the best idea is wins the money, right? So that's kind of our fun thing. And I can tell you that like 80% of the wins right now are tied to AI. And
Mm,
so if you don't think AI is hitting the rental operators, you're wrong, right?
yeah.
It's there now, it's in place. We also work in equipment dealers,
Mm,
and we had one dealer, I want to say it was a year ago, form an AI committee internally. They didn't know
mm,
why they were doing it. They just did it. And I can tell you that that particular dealer is the head of the class when it comes to his peer
mm,
group because he just started it. And so I took a page out of his book and I paid a AI consultant 3 grand. Didn't even have a plan. But slowly, what's happening is that AI consultant's learning my business and making certain suggestions, and it's having an impact. So I love that. So whenever there's an
y-
innovation that comes to the industry, it's really neat to see. At least with in-person meetings, we meet only every 6 months usually.
mhm.
So there's still communication happening on the quarterly level and monthly level, but it's fascinating to see like from here to here how advanced something moves. And frankly, Kyle, part of what drove me on this process is we know all the management software our members use. And so all of a sudden a blip popped up on the screen that, Quipli's moving up the ranks, and we wanted to kind of get to know it better. And you and I have known each other for quite some time, but at the same time, I've become more interested lately. So I'm starting to like hear it from my customers. And so when I know a customer for 3 or 4 years and all of a sudden they make a conversion or something, I want to know why, and I want to know how they feel about that. So It's been fun, and I'm excited for the next couple of years because I do believe it's about setting the foundation, whether it be joining a peer group or basically picking who you're going to work with on your technology.
Yeah, for sure. It's an exciting time. It's always rental's always been exciting. It's a growing industry, but for me, I'm half in rental and half in technology. It's extra exciting with the AI boom, and I think we're in the first inning. And I think what's great is we've got hundreds of Quipli customers. You've got hundreds of peer group members, and what we're trying to do is figure out AI together as an industry, and that's what the
Yeah.
partnership's about, right? So we've got several meetings this fall to kind of work through that, right? Because we can all
Mhm.
agree AI is transformational, but how do we do this in a way that serves the industry, right? So a lot more to come, and a teaser for a lot of the conversations this fall. I want to transition to the second topic here, which is the quarterly pillar that peer group does. So the peer group has a lot
Yeah.
of different offerings, and you do different themes, right? So quarter one is around valuation and financial. Quarter two, sales and marketing. Quarter three, process and operations. And here we are in quarter four, people and strategy. We're going to talk about people and strategy now. And of course, obviously, sales isn't just Q2. You're selling all year, right? And the financial aspect isn't just
Yeah.
Q1, it's the whole year. So, but what you guys like to do is tee up thought leadership conversations around these different themes. So, right now, we're in people and strategy. Tell me about what you guys are talking about to your members this quarter.
Sure. So, this is the fourth quarter, typically calendar on the calendar, right? So, as people go forward, we see that people gravitate to wanting to have January 1 be the start of the year for whatever reason. Most of us do. Some have financial starts and ends of years at different times during the year, but for the most part, we're talking January. So, just like big corporate America, we want to do some thought planning prior to that. And so October 1 through December 31st inside peer groups, what we'll emphasize is business planning. We really want you to revisit your SWOT analysis, which, strengths and weaknesses internally, opportunities and threats externally, and certainly that involves policy like tariffs and things like that. So, what is going to be your response to that? You can only react to external circle of influence, right? Things that are
Mhm.
out there that are you're just going to have to deal with it, right? Constraining, increased labor costs, things like that. So we look at the fourth quarter as the time to take a deep breath, go for a walk in the woods, whatever's necessary, and start that process again to say, January 1, I'm going to come out and this is what my next year looks like. So, the big thing I would say, we do economic reports every quarter, but there's no question, the economic report for the fourth quarter, which Noah will release, he's the economist, got his accounting degree and, or I'm sorry, his economic degree. And so he's been a study on that. And we'll use elements that come from different private equity backed industries. We'll get information from ITR. We'll get information from all different sources, Wells Fargo. And with that information and prognosis for construction industry or consumer, B2C activity, we then provide the economic outlook. So that's a big part of specifically the fourth quarter, but we do provide those reports both in writing and in video every quarter. What I have a tendency to do is focus on the tools. So for me, we have every member gets a legacy plan template. They can focus on long-term strategy. So if they're going to do any kind of continuation with their children or something like that, it's a template you fill in to keep track of all that. Excuse me. And so legacy planning is beyond 3 years. And then short term, we have business planning tools. So we can work with you with your chart of accounts and look at how you're looking at your financials. We can talk about the pulse of your financials, which is, we like rolling 12. We look at rolling 12 and the change of rolling 12 financials every month. So we kind of revisit that with everyone, but we're really trying to help, look at the picture of what the new year is going to look like. And the second piece to this, which is the people piece, we're really thinking about our staff. And we're saying, how have we done with conversing with them on a regular basis. What's the pulse of our conversations look like? Do we really have a good feel for it? What's their total compensation plan look like? Is there a deferred element? Because deferred compensation can be golden handcuffy as well as cost less, believe it or not. So there's ways to really do a good job with employee pool management, with education development training, and certainly good communication. So we'll kind of bring that into it. And by the way, that rolls directly into our rental leader boot camp, which we've done the last 3 years now, fourth year at the California Rental Association. And we usually do about 2 or 3 boot camps a year, but that's the leadership development side, where we really do things with like behavioral analysis and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch. I think the key, when a person joins peer groups on any level, they get that communicated to them. So it's kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, it's October 1st. Here comes an email from Jacob, the marketing coordinator, right? And he's focusing on all of those elements for the next 90 days.
Yeah. Well, I like that you've planned the rhythms of the calendar year with the rhythms of the rental business, right? As you know, as it gets colder, rental volume drops off. We see transaction volume, so I see it, but also busy season for switching rental software starts now through
Yeah.
Q1, right? Because it's slow and people start to reevaluate. And what you're saying for Q4 with your peer groups, a lot of it's sort of getting to these rhythms. And the rhythm of Q4 is taking a deep breath. The busy season's generally over. Look what's going on in the world, the SWOT analysis, and
Yeah.
obviously you can't control tariffs, but you can control certain things in your sphere of influence. And it's
Hmm.
looking around, how did the year go? Where do you want to go next year? And then obviously making sure you have the people that goes along with that. What are you seeing? I know we haven't had the economic report come out yet that you guys are working on, but what are you hearing from your groups? How did the rental year go compared to last year, compared to expectations?
No, that's a great question. We actually we do 25 groups in the fall, and we're about 10 in. So we're almost at the halfway mark of groups that have been meeting since September. And what we're finding is, it's not any surprise, but it's a growth year. So we are seeing
Mm,
growth. If you are focused on homeowner, there's concerns
mm,
because the homeowner market continues to have challenges, both with weekend warriors kind of taking a break from it, as well as the competition heating up from the local big boxes, right? So there's, people going out and just making a choice not to go to their independent, and so that's a trouble area for us. We look at the category of rental assets to determine, what's happening with those categories. But we also will look at things like contract duration, average contract size, to determine, like, we can almost see it aligning with
mm,
growth rates. So the bigger the growth rate. And we've known this, and we all know it. And people listening to this podcast are going to say, well, we already know that. You're not telling us anything new. Well, the question is, what's your response, right? So you don't control it. That's outside your circle of concern. It's in your circle of influence. So now you've
mm,
got to say, well, what's my response to that? So our challenge inside peer groups is that you do have a response, whether it's written or not. We just want you to be comfortable. Like we had one individual, their earnings grew even though their sales were dropping at 5 to 8%. And the reason why that was they said, I love a homeowner market. I'm going to stick with it. And so they focused on their expense management, and they did a really good job. So he got high marks inside his peer group because his reaction to being flat or having some negative growth. Whereas others, some people just like to chase growth, right? Because I
mm.
don't want to control my expenses. That's no fun. I like to spend personally. So that's it's no fun. I'd rather grow.
Yeah.
Um, but even on the event rental side, it's the same thing. It's like what's happening in the tent industry is different than tabletop. And you need to decide who your customer is going to be, and you need to go after that customer. So always ask questions
Yeah.
about that. But we like fourth quarter for that.
Yeah. Sounds like there's been a divergence. The homeowner one's been down or flat. The bigger projects has been growing. We've seen that. I just remember one day I talked to one guy. He said, best year ever. he
Yeah.
can't grow. He's like, I don't want any more customers. I can't grow fast
Yeah.
enough, or
Yeah.
I can't take any more growth. I'm adding a second location, third location, and then an hour later, talk to a guy. It's like, this is the worst year I've had since 2008.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, there's
It's
different states and different customer bases, but it's all
yeah.
under the equipment rental, space. And you're like, how do you think reconcile? Well,
So
there's nuance, right?
So real briefly, I got to say this because it was interesting. When we first started doing financial benchmarks, and even with the American Rental Association with financial benchmarks, the numbers come in, and you say, "Okay, what's good?" And I get people asking me all the time, "What's good? What's good numbers?" And at the end of the day, we're realizing that we have to represent what is your mix of sales? What is your profit center? How, if you chop it up, what's that look like? Because not everybody's a pure play on the rental side. And then the second piece to that is what customer are you focused on? And we also look at your product mix. So product mix, customer mix, sales mix. So those are the three things. And once we know that, we can tell you if your numbers are good. Like
Mm,
otherwise, because somebody can have an EBITDA of 35% and not have growth, but somebody could have an EBITDA of 25% and continue to grow hugely because they've made their mark in their marketplace.
mm,
Small market like Tate's Rents in Boise, Idaho, great example. 10 locations, and they own the marketplace when it comes to homeowner and small contractor. And
yeah.
so, I can't tell them, oh, you got to get out of the homeowner market. Heck no. Like they've got a great model.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you really need to focus on what you're trying to accomplish. What model do you have?
And I think it's a good, you've been in these peer groups with the rental industry for 23 years. Like, you've seen the
Mhm.
cycles. Like, don't just chase where the puck
Oh,
what
yeah.
is like where it's going. And yeah, maybe homeowners was a little slow this year. Don't abandon the business. There's business
Yeah.
cycles, right? If that's one of the things being a peer group, you start to know that. If you're a younger person, this is your first rental company, you may freak out because it wasn't what you thought, but there's business cycles, right? That's part of what you can help navigate people with, is calm down a little bit if it's
Yeah.
a down year.
Yep. We can put it into yeah, there's been nothing unprecedented in a while.
Yeah.
It's all been
Yeah.
here, been there, done that type
I'm
thing.
I'm here for the precedented times. We've had a
Yeah.
lot of unprecedented times. I'm ready for the precedented times. Well, Dan, thank you for coming on today. We're just gonna do a shorter episode to highlight the theme here of people and strategy. We're gonna do more of these. So in Q1, we'll talk about valuation and the financial side. Final sort of question here for people finishing the year, thinking about people and strategy. What's one thing that they should be thinking about to set their business up for success in 2026?
Well, I didn't answer your question when you asked about the economic outlook, but I will say it now that plan for growth. Like I know
Mm,
there's a lot of uncertainty, but there was a lot of things that were not quite completed upon the end of Biden's term. Right, there was going to be a lot of infrastructure investing going on, and so if you're an equipment rental, just be prepared for some solid opportunity.
mm.
So don't be shy about having some growth plans for 2026.
I like to hear that. That's good for everybody. Well, Dan, thank you for coming on. Go Sixers, episode 76. Look forward to see you in a week.
Take care, Kyle. Good seeing you, and looking forward to next week.